Shinyu walks into the studio with swollen eyes. Fans demand answers immediately. The moment fans had been dreading and yet secretly anticipating finally arrived. Shen Yue, known for her radiant smile and calm demeanor, stepped into the studio today with eyes swollen from hours of crying, her face pale and drained, her usual grace overshadowed by an unmistakable vulnerability that left everyone around her stunned. Within minutes, videos of her arrival spread across social media, and the internet erupted in a storm of speculation, concern, and disbelief. What could have possibly happened to leave Shinyu in such a fragile state? The first few glimpses of her in the studio show a scene that no fan expected. She walked in slowly, her heels clicking softly on the polished floor, her eyes barely meeting anyone's gaze. The production team immediately noticed her quiet distress, exchanging uneasy glances as she moved towards her dressing room, clutching her script tightly as though it were the only anchor in the chaos of her emotions. Behind the camera, crew members whispered, trying to understand the sudden change in her demeanor. Something had shaken her to the core, but no one knew the full story yet. Eyewitnesses later described an extraordinary moment. As Shinyu paused at the doorway of the studio, her eyes scanned the room, and for a heartbeat, it was as if the entire world had stopped. Cameras were rolling, lights shining, but she seemed miles away, lost in her own storm of thoughts and emotions. Fans watching the livestream erupted with comments, desperately asking what had happened, sharing theories ranging from personal struggles to dramatic fallout with a co-star. Every second of her entrance was captured and dissected, each frame becoming a viral sensation within moments. Inside her dressing room, sources reported, Shinyu sat down, her hands trembling as she clutched a cup of tea she barely touched. Her manager tried to console her, speaking softly, but she shook her head, unable or unwilling to respond. The air in the room was thick with tension, the kind that comes before a revelation so shocking that it could rewrite everything fans believed about her life behind the cameras. Staff members who have known her for years said they had never seen her like this, and even veteran crew members admitted they were genuinely worried. Rumors began to swirl faster than anyone could confirm them. Some fans speculated that a private confrontation with a co-star had left her heartbroken. Others suggested that leaked messages or hidden personal secrets had surfaced, shaking her world. Each theory seemed more dramatic than the last, but one thing was undeniable: Shinyu's vulnerability had touched millions, and the internet was in a frenzy. Social media exploded with hashtags pleading for answers, fans demanding that the production team explain what had caused the actress to arrive in such a state. The scene inside the studio was equally gripping. Directors and assistants tiptoed around her, careful not to disturb her fragile state, while cameras were quietly set up to continue shooting without pressuring her. Yet Shinyu, in the quietest and most human way, reminded everyone why they loved her. Despite her swollen eyes and evident exhaustion, she carried herself with a grace that made it impossible to look away. Every movement, every glance, told a story of resilience, heartbreak, and the immense pressures of fame that few outsiders could truly understand. Moments later, something happened that instantly went viral. Shinyu, seemingly gathering all her courage, stood in front of a mirror in the studio, her reflection catching the soft studio lights. She closed her eyes for a long moment, then opened them with a look of determination that contrasted sharply with the pain just moments before. Fans who saw the footage described it as a turning point, a moment that made them both ache and admire her at the same time. It was as if she had decided to face whatever storm had come for her head-on, no matter how heavy the weight of the world felt on her shoulders. Throughout the day, footage of her interactions with colleagues emerged. She remained quiet but polite, offering faint smiles and nods to the team while occasionally hiding her face behind her hands. Every gesture, every subtle expression, was scrutinized by fans desperate to understand what had happened. Comment sections filled with messages of support, prayers, and a collective sense of awe at her ability to keep moving forward despite whatever personal struggles had shaken her so deeply. What made this day even more remarkable was the raw emotion captured in behind-the-scenes clips. At one point, she was seen speaking in a hushed voice to a co-star, her words inaudible, but the way she leaned in, the tilt of her head, and the trembling of her hands told a story that words alone could not convey. The internet immediately exploded with speculation. Were these apologies, confrontations, confessions, or pleas for understanding? Fans could only guess, but they were captivated by every second. By evening, Shen Yue had returned to her dressing room, and the production wrapped for the day. Yet the storm outside the studio was only beginning. Social media was ablaze, with clips of her swollen eyes, silent moments, and brief smiles circulating endlessly. Comments poured in, millions of fans around the world demanding that the truth be revealed, showing an outpouring of empathy and concern rarely seen on such a massive scale. The reality behind Shen Yu's swollen eyes remains a mystery for now, but one thing is certain, the internet will not rest until they know the truth. Every glance, every whispered word, and every fleeting expression has been recorded and analyzed, creating a story that fans will talk about for weeks, perhaps even months. The emotional intensity of this day will be remembered not just for the drama or speculation but for the humanity it revealed in an actress who continues to captivate millions with every move she makes. The atmosphere in the studio had grown heavy with tension. By mid-afternoon, Shen Yue had returned to her dressing room, yet the whispers outside were impossible to ignore. Fans flooded social media with questions, theories, and desperate pleas for answers. Some said they had seen her speaking softly on the phone, her voice trembling, while others claimed she had been handed a letter or message that had reduced her to tears just moments before. The truth, however, remained a tightly guarded secret, hidden behind the calm professionalism she tried so hard to project. Suddenly, a senior crew member entered the dressing room with a concerned expression, carrying a small bouquet of white flowers. Shen Yu's eyes, still swollen, softened for the briefest moment. It was clear that this gesture, simple as it was, meant something deeper, a reminder that even amidst heartbreak, support and understanding still existed. She took the flowers quietly, her hand still shaking, and for the first time, she allowed a fragile smile to touch her lips. The camera crew, capturing this intimate moment from a distance, knew they had witnessed something extraordinary, a quiet testament to human resilience. Moments later, she was joined by a close co-star, someone who had shared both laughter and tears with her on countless sets. Their interaction was subtle but electric. Shen Yue leaned slightly toward them, whispering something inaudible, her fingers nervously twisting the edge of her sleeve. The co-star nodded, their eyes reflecting a mix of empathy and silent urgency. It was a fleeting scene, yet the intensity was undeniable. Fans watching the leaked clips described it as a moment that spoke louder than words, the kind of cinematic, emotional resonance that left viewers holding their breath. The studio lights dimmed slightly as the crew prepared for the next scene. Shen Yue emerged, steadying herself, her swollen eyes still telling the story her lips refused to speak. She walked to her mark, each step deliberate, every movement measured yet graceful. It was as if she had transformed her pain into performance, channeling her inner turmoil into artistry. Directors whispered behind monitors, some awestruck, others concerned, as Shen Yue delivered lines with a raw emotional depth rarely captured on set. Her performance, in that moment, became inseparable from her real-life vulnerability, creating an unforgettable experience for everyone present. Then came the pivotal scene. A leaked clip shows her standing center stage, facing the camera, her voice barely above a whisper, recounting a story of betrayal, heartbreak, and courage. The words themselves may have been scripted, but the emotion behind them was entirely real. Crew members describe a moment when even the most stoic individuals in the studio were moved, some dabbing at their eyes, unable to look away from the authenticity pouring from Shen Yue. Fans online were equally captivated, dissecting each frame, sharing screenshots, and commenting in awe at her courage and resilience. As the day drew to a close, Shen Yue retreated once more to her dressing room. This time, however, she was not alone. Her manager, long known for their quiet efficiency, sat beside her, offering calm reassurance. In a brief interview captured for internal footage, Shen Yue finally spoke, her voice steady but soft. Sometimes life gives you moments you are not ready for. You can cry, you can feel hurt, but you also find strength you never knew existed. I am grateful for the people who remind me I am not alone. The statement, heartfelt and simple, instantly went viral once it was shared on fan pages. Viewers commented endlessly, expressing admiration, empathy, and an overwhelming sense of connection to her humanity. By evening, the studio had emptied, leaving only echoes of the day's drama. Shen Yue, despite the exhaustion etched into her features, had transformed the narrative from one of despair to one of empowerment. The story that began with swollen eyes and whispered speculation ended with courage, authenticity, and the unmistakable reminder that even in our most vulnerable moments, we have the ability to rise. For fans, the story continues to reverberate. Social media remains alive with speculation about the moments that caused her distress, the hidden conversations, and the unseen pressures of fame. Yet what resonates most is not the mystery itself, but Shinyu's resilience. Her journey reminds viewers that behind every viral clip, every sensational headline, and every dramatic moment lies a real human being navigating life's complexities with grace, even when the world is watching. If you want to witness the complete story from start to finish, including every emotional detail, every fleeting glance, and every moment of courage that made today unforgettable, subscribe now and turn on notifications. The drama, the heartbreak, and the triumph are far from over, and the next chapters promise to reveal even more shocking, emotional, and inspiring moments that fans around the world will not want to miss.